Y'all can hear me? I'll just have to talk over Andy. It is what it is. No problem. I can handle that. Hey, good evening and welcome to First Baptist Church. Tonight is our end-of-year business meeting night. And so, hey, praise the Lord. He has been faithful, and we have prayerfully stewarded His funds in accordance with His will. And so part of what our business meeting will consist of is voting on how to steward His money on some big ticket items for tonight, as well as looking forward to the future and presenting how we would discern how He would have us to steward the funds moving forward into 2026. There were several things on the agenda, but I will... I'm just going to open us with a word of prayer. Do be in prayer for Mac and Velma. Mac Moore does have a pneumonia. They're not really sure what's going on with Miss Velma. She went to the doctor. She's lost her voice and just don't feel good. Doesn't have a lot of energy. Kind of hurting and stuff. But they didn't find anything this doctor's trip. So just be in prayer for both of them. And I know our prayer list is provided to you at any point in time. If we need to add individuals or take individuals off that prayer list, then I would ask that you email connect at FBC Elba. FBC Elba connect at outlook.com. Whew, sorry. Look at your bulletin. FBC Elba Connect at Outlook.com. It's still new to me. Please email that and we'll make adjustments there. I do ask that you also pray for the Coppage family as well as the Boutwell family. Mr. Michael Coppage, Mikey, stage name Johnny. He passed away. He was became a friend of mine. I'll never forget the first time I ever met him. And I know I've got to tell this one story. I did college classes for forever. My whole adult life I've been in college, I feel like. And after the kids were put to bed, I would work in the church office here because we lived next door. I'd work in the church office until the wee hours of the morning. And just before they closed here at this store, sometimes 10 o'clock, sometimes 11 o'clock, but just before they closed, I'd walk from the church to the store and I'd get their last cup of coffee. And I was coming by one night and there's a white-haired man, white beard, guitar on his back. And I just stopped. It was late, and it was cold, and that's why I drove instead of walking. And I said, hey, you need a ride? And he said, are you the law or something? And I said, no, I ain't the law. I preach at that church right there. And little did I know, he had become pretty good buddies with my brother, and he never in a million years would have put me and Tony together. But over the next few years, Michael Coppage and I became good friends, and I got to know his mama, Miss Becky, God rest her soul. She passed away just a couple of months ago now, and so we need to pray for Dixie too, and Rosie, Donna, just the whole family. Be in prayer for the Coppage family. There'll be a memorial service at a later date, and I'll let y'all know about that whenever the time comes. So I'm going to open in prayer. I've talked about the Moores. I've talked about condolences for the Coppage family. And yeah, as I mentioned, just any kind of prayer request, things that y'all have that you would like us to add and be in prayer for, send them to FBC Elba Connect at Outlook.com. All right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go to the Lord in prayer and we'll begin our time of business tonight. Father, we love you. We praise your holy name. We thank you that tonight, this time that we pause for midweek prayer together, Lord, even with business meeting on the agenda, it's always our desire that we gather in your name, that we honor you with how we conduct ourselves, the words that we speak, and even the prayers that are offered would be in accordance to your will. Lord, I do pray for the Coppage family. I'm thankful for the friendship that I was able to have with Mikey, and just ask that you would bring comfort to those that grieve his loss. I pray for the Moores, both Mac and Velma, and for them to recover and just be strengthened and her health restored. I pray for our whole prayer list. God, we've got so many that have various diagnoses, whether it's a cancer situation or an ailment that hadn't been officially diagnosed yet, and just different things that we are seeking your healing hand for, and for you to strengthen the family as they endure those. Lord, I pray for Kyle and his procedure that he has coming up. I pray for Mr. James Kelly and his medical concern as well. Lord, that you just be near to each one and minister according to the richness of your grace. And tonight as we gather to discuss these matters, I pray that we do so with the understanding that ultimately it's not any one of our church, because we are the church, and ultimately we are your bride. And so may we conduct ourselves as such. May we be wise in the decisions that are made, and considerate in the conversations that are had. And Lord, just be glorified now in our time together. And it's in Christ's name I pray. Amen. So I'll call this business meeting to order. We'll begin by reviewing and adopting the minutes. I trust that y'all were able to pick up a copy of those. As y'all finish reviewing them, y'all can just look back up at me, and that'll let me know we're ready to adopt. All right, all in favor of approving the minutes as recorded, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same motion. All right, they're carried. The next order of business is we've got some new members. Each of them are by way of first-time, profession of faith and participating in believers' baptism, and we'll vote on these individually. And so, for the sake of kind of expediting the process, we will get the first motion and second to be the same throughout. I think that just flows easier. Was it? No, y'all are good. Y'all are right on time. They're gonna have a party here in a little bit. Make sure Melissa texts you whenever they get back. All right, good. So, do I have anyone that would be willing to make for Ben Casey? Do I hear a motion to approve his request for membership? So, Caitlin has made a motion, and Mr. Ronnie Morrow has made a second. All in favor of approving Ben Casey for membership, say aye. Any opposed, the same? All right. Next is Powell Bain. Caitlin, do you make a motion for Powell? Mr. Ronnie has seconded it. All in favor of approving his request for membership, say aye. Aye. All right. Any opposed, the same? That's carried. Jax Bain. Caitlin, do you make a motion for Jax? Mr. Ronnie has motioned a second to approve his request for membership. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same? All right, he's carried. Bella Bain. Caitlin has made a motion for Bella Bain, and Mr. Ronnie a second. All in favor of approving her request for membership, say aye. Aye. All right, any opposed, the same? And then Andrew Wisecup. So the rest of the Wisecup family had joined last business meeting officially. We adopted them, but Andrew's was pending baptism. And so Caitlin, do you make, okay. So Andrew Wisecup, and then Mr. Ronnie has made a second. All in favor of approving the request for membership, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same? Okay, well, that takes care of our new members, and again, they were all by profession of faith, participating in believers' baptism, and requesting before the church to join. So thank y'all for that. The next item on the agenda is building and grounds. I'm going to have Andy go ahead and come right out the gate, because he may wind up being called to the back whenever those kids start showing back up. Who knows? So I'm going to turn the meeting over to him. You'll make two different recommendations on behalf of Building and Grounds. So, Mr. Ronnie, I think there's a slide up there. Do the doors first.
Sure. So I'm sure everybody knows here, if you've used the front door of the church, that it's rotten. The bottom half of the doors at the hinges is rotten. So Alex and all the Building and Grounds guys have been working on different options for the front doors here. So we're going to have a steel door option, a wood door option, and a storefront option. And there's some differences in price, and we'll go over that as we go. What you see there is a steel option, like a solid steel door. And all these are going to be kind of expensive because it's a custom opening. And it has to have that same panic lock that you see on there as you go out. And all of these prices are installed and removed. So they're going to come and remove the old door. At that time, they would have the new door and install it at that time. So the first option is the steel door, and that is $13,000 installed. Okay, so the steel door will look very similar to what we have now is our wood doors. So you'll never be able to get the steel door to look exactly like it, but it'll look very close to what we have now, and that'd be like the white door option there. You can have glass and all that stuff in it, but we were just thinking we want to keep the same look of the church. Okay, so the second option is, Mr. Ronnie? Okay, so that's the storefront option, and this is a much cheaper option. This is what you see in like gymnasiums and stuff and big schools. This option's $6,100, quite a bit cheaper than anything else that that they offer. It's more of a, it's just a cheaper option, right? They use it a lot in commercial projects. A lot of commercial schooling zones have it, and much cheaper option though. It's not quite as custom, I would say, right, Alex? It's more of a, yeah. Sure. Correct. Okay, and that door's $6,100. And then the last option, we don't have a picture of it. It's a solid wood door. So it would look exactly like what we have, and that's $16,000 for that door. So, stuff to think about. Am I supposed to give a recommendation on what we think?
Yeah, if Building and Grounds has a recommendation, like that y'all, but if y'all don't have one, then you essentially say, hey, Building and
Yeah.
Grounds was kind of between these two options, but we present now to the church for discussion.
Yeah, so Building and Grounds was really between the storefront option and the steel door option. The wood door, I mean, it's obviously worked great. That's what we've had on there for, goodness gracious, I don't know how long, 50 years probably. But technology has come around, and steel doors are really a better option. Both the steel door and the storefront door will be considerably lighter than what a solid wood door is. So that's kind of the two we narrowed it down to, and we were kind of up for, a vote, a yay and nay, or what, up for discussion, absolutely.
Front seat, because there'll probably be some questions on that. And so at this point, it's not an official recommendation on, hey, Building and Grounds is recommending that we go with this particular option, right? They've kind of just presented what it is. And so I'm going to present it to the church to see if someone here has a recommendation. And I know this doesn't happen very often, but the way it works is a recommendation is made, and until that recommendation is seconded, there isn't any discussion, right? Until we have a second on any one of these three options, okay? So does anyone want to start the bidding with the first recommendation? Yes? $16,000, $13,000, and $6,100, correct? Total, yeah. Yeah. And let me add this. So it's not even actually just the wood rot concern. We have gotten into a security concern as well. The doors are not functioning as they're supposed to with locking and unlocking and stuff like that. So it is more than just the aesthetics on this. It's a functionality of it. So.
And if you have any questions, we know a lot about it now. I mean, Alex,
Yeah, they've been on this. Yeah, Cindy, go ahead, Cindy. Yeah, yeah. So from the road, that metal door is going to be very aesthetically, like it's going to look like the wood door, but you're going to be able to tell the difference whenever you
very close.
grab it. Yeah. Go ahead, Gappa.
The steel door is basically maintenance free, other than if the paint fades up after years. I mean, you're not going to have there's very little wear there.
Correct. Yes. Yep. Yep. Yes, Mr. Ronnie. All right. So Mr. Ronnie, this is to maintain every bit of this. So Mr. Ronnie has made a motion that we go with that $13,000 steel option, and Marion has seconded that. Go ahead.
It says in the Bible that we are supposed to let our light shine, and bright, and for people to, be more welcome. To me, I know I'm an outsider. As the commercial doors let more light in, and it's like welcoming our guests or outside people to come in and be with us.
Okay. Right.
Absolutely. It was actually, you see the picture to the left. They can do any of that, but they can do bigger glass. I had a special request them to make solid. Like the first set of things they sent, these most beautiful doors you've ever seen. But to try, we thought that the church would probably want to keep the same look. So then I went back and forth with them to get this. These are the few pictures they had of solid doors they've done. So they can do.
Oh, there's as decorative as you can imagine. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same price whether you have glass in it or whether it's solid steel. So,
Well, I just think that we can have both. We can have pretty and we can have maintenance free. Yes. I don't care for what looks like the building and the just the regular.
Yes, like what you. Yes. What. I'm with the solid glass. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Can we have some more pictures, some more options to look at some point, or is this a make decision?
I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you this flat out. The way it works tonight is if the church agrees, we get an agreement on, and then I don't feel some tension on something that's presented tonight, then it happens tonight. But the problem is with me turning y'all loose to, hey, look, here's the catalog of storefront doors, the catalog for steel doors, and the catalog for wood doors. This church is not united enough to be able to land on one in this decade, because no church is. And that's why committees are so helpful in kind of sifting through all those different options and coming up with, hey, this gets us pretty close. And so if tonight it winds up being, there's 75% that's on a door, hey, we'll probably, because you know what? even steel doors don't have to be permanent doors. You know, before this church splits over a permanent door, I'll cut my salary to replace whatever doors we thought was permanent. You know what I mean? I'm not going to allow a door be what divides this congregation. But with that, what I'm getting at is if we wind up being like 50-50 tonight, well then the church congregation doesn't have any more homework necessarily they've got to do, but Building and Grounds is going to have to do some more homework where before the next time we come before the church, they poll the audience some and then kind of get a census that way. That's going to be, but we will not say, well, let's just see, you know what I mean? But go ahead, Miss Cindy, what was the other thing? Oh, well. Right, yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's, yeah. Sure, yes, ma'am. Yeah. Mhm. Sure.
I agree. Because if you break it down per year, it's really nothing, right? Like
Yeah.
if those doors lasted 75 years and they were whatever, I mean, you know, if you get 75.
Yeah, Miss Dickey.
In my opinion, I'm thinking security. Amen. And with the metal doors, let's face it, drive-bys.
Mm-hmm.
Metal doors would offer a little more security, not guaranteed.
Yeah.
That. I mean, that those brick walls.
Yeah.
But we could compromise by having like the one on the left
Mhm.
with some glass.
Some natural lighting in that.
Let some natural lighting in without sacrificing security.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I'm not voting in this matter because I don't want to be run out of town off of a door, right? But I will tell you that I came in here tonight thinking that y'all were going to either go straight wood or the steel that looks a lot like the straight wood. But that foyer is dark. And there's not a whole lot we can, and it's small. It's a small foyer and a dark foyer, and natural lighting. I've watched enough Fixer Upper. I know that, you know, natural lighting does help with it brightening it up and making it a little more spacious feeling. So not, you know, like to your point, I'm kind of against straight glass for security purposes, things like that. But I do think that there might be, you know, like the option on the left, if that was solid white. And had the glass at the top, it does allow some of that natural lighting and a little more welcoming in that sense. But yes, ma'am.
But if you had the glass coming down just maybe a little bit lower,
Mm-hmm.
somebody, halfway, somebody could be there if it's raining, to open the door,
You could see. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
pull out with an umbrella.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
yes, very.
Yeah. Four companies.
So we all, each one of us took a different door company and contacted them. Does that make sense? I'll get you the name here. I don't have to put it in. And that's a door company or a window?
So currently, we've got an official motion and a second currently on a solid steel door. There has been some discussion since then, but all that has been put down on our minutes, on our record, is that there's been a first and a second motion on a steel door. So, yeah. Do I understand your motion being that we revisit? Well, I was thinking this was an amendment to that. This ain't amending that much. She's the one that seconded the motion, so that's. Yeah. She's on the first motion. That's what. Yeah. Correct. I'm asking if we are voting to amend that motion that was the first and second. Okay. So. Yeah. Yeah. So to vote the first one down after discussion, we've had a first and a second. So all in favor of just approving a steel door as that first motion was, say aye. Well, raise your hand then, because hold on a second. Y'all do know what's happening. If we vote on this steel door, then we're voting on option. Motion on what that steel door is going to be like. I got the direction you're going now. So, all in favor, and we're going to do a show of hands because this is just, so all in favor of using the company under option 1 to have that steel door, let it be known by showing your hands. That's going to be, all right. Any opposed? Please raise your hand for the steel door option. Any opposed on the steel door option? All right, so that's going to carry. We're going to go with option 1. Now, do I hear a motion on what style of steel door to go with? Marion, what is your motion? Yeah. Yeah, there's 5 on that committee. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so we have a motion that we give the Building and Grounds Committee, now that we went with option 1, that we give Building and Grounds Committee the freedom, the liberty, the authority to make the decision moving forward with what option is going to be best as long as it incorporates glass. Ms. Shelley has seconded that. Any questions or comments concerning the motion that's on the floor?
No, this is going to be for just the members of the building grounds.
This is just for the members of Building and Grounds to make that decision.
Well, I would encourage them to talk to city hall as they're making their decision.
Yeah. John Moore's going to hate you in here tonight. John Moore is the chair of this committee.
I get her into the decision.
All right, so if there's no questions or comments, all in favor of giving the, hey, this is a very healthy big thing. I'm impressed. This is huge. If y'all are about to trust a committee to make a decision that don't have to come back before the church, this is empowering committees. Praise God for this. This is about to pass. Raise your, yeah. Yeah, hey, you're right. So all in favor.
I can't be
Yeah.
bought.
All in favor.
Cookies, cakes.
All in favor of the motion, let it be known by raising your hand. Any opposed, the same. That carries by raising of the hands, by a majority vote. So, okay, Building and Grounds isn't. Yes, ma'am.
Can the glass that is in the door be some sort of fortified glass? I mean, I know it won't be bulletproof.
Yeah. To Yep. Try to get through this next one a little
I got this
faster.
one way better.
Building and Grounds has one other item that we need to present. Our air conditioner currently is working off emergency heat. Our heat pump is not working. We gotta have a new unit. So Andy's gonna present who the Building and Grounds recommends going with to get that unit.
Okay, so like Kit said, the air conditioner in here is on its way out, and I feel much better about this than I do any of the others. We got 3 different quotes from 3 different air conditioner companies, and we're going to go with the most economical option, which was Derek Deal. He's going to install a 20-ton unit. If the church approves, if the church approves of it. And we got 3 different quotes, and Derek was the cheapest, and I felt like it was even the best option out of the 3 anyways. So very rarely do those both meet up where you get, I feel like that's the best equipment and the best installer, and so to me this one's more of a, yeah, oh yeah. So Derek's quote, option 1 was $28,600, and that's for a new 20-ton unit. It involves getting a crane and getting it off the roof and out of the basement. Yeah, so it's not just a, like putting one on the side of your house. It's a little bit bigger of a deal. So he was the cheapest by a few $1,000s, and it's a little more complicated because there's new Freon and stuff, but we've kind of sifted through all that and just feel like that's the best option.
So recommendation has been made on behalf of Building and Grounds. They are in one accord on this decision. And so now it's time for questions or comments by the church on having Derek Deal replace our 20-ton unit, Deal Heating and Cooling, replace our 20-ton unit for $28,000-ish.
And if you guys were wondering, we got Snellgrove to give us another quote, and Flash, if that matters.
Yeah.
Flash Heating and Cooling.
Warranted and, mhm. Yeah. We're going to give you the quote, and it'll get attached to, so you can just put C quote attached on that. Keith, you had. Correct. So the unit that has to be replaced now, the last 2 times they came to make repairs, it has functioned less. This most recent time, they had to just run it off emergency heat only. Like it's been, because you can't get parts for it, so you can't make a repair to it. It's 2 Freons ago, 2 refrigerants ago. No, it's a 2010 model, but it's changed so much since then that it's not. Yep. All right. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of approving Derek Deal to do, or all in favor of approving the motion made by the committee, say aye. Any opposed, the same. All right, that carries. Thank you, Andy. You've done good. You've made Miss Joan proud. At this time, I'm going to ask Marion to come, if you will, or we can wait. How's Mattis doing? Okay, all right. You tell me. So Marion is the chair of the Building Expansion Committee, and at this time, they have a recommendation on moving forward what the next phase in the process would be after they've met for a while now. So I'll let her make that recommendation.
So I was going to have better notes, but it didn't happen this evening. We evaluated different sections and have come to the agreement that we can make accommodations for each of the sections: nursery, choir, kids choir, Sunday school, rooms, kids worship, and the fellowship hall. We can make accommodations for all of those except the fellowship hall. That one we're kind of at a max. There's no walls to take out. There's no way to really, truly expand in a way that is life-sustaining or furthering us in any way. So at this point, we're just presenting it to the church of we're recommending that we talk with architects, try to draw up some blueprint ideas as to what we're wanting, and then we will come back and present the church with a, at least mostly agreed on our side, proposal for expanding into a new building and or evaluating this one. It's a tandem thing.
Yeah, so that's, the building expansion committee was not put together to expand the building. It was to put together to see, hey, is that the direction that it's heading? Is that what we're going to need? And so the building expansion committee has made the recommendation after evaluating space currently available that we move forward as a church with pursuing the expansion option, which, as Marianne said, means bringing some people in to get some ideas and things like that. So any questions or comments off of this recommendation? Andy?
No.
So this would be fellowship, the primary purpose of this, which is why they evaluated each section, because whenever you get ready to build, you need to build for what you're going to need, not just one thing. You want to maximize your space. And as it is currently, if we build with the focus of fellowship hall, then that's going to create other space downstairs to accommodate some of those needs. And so basically she's stating, the committee is stating that we can move forward with the focus of not new sanctuary, not new Sunday school or education building, I think they call them. We're moving forward with, if the church approves, with a fellowship hall building. That would be the primary focus of it. That would be what drove the expansion.
Oh, yes. Well, we'll get into those details after we talk to people.
Architects would, and engineer, those individuals would put that together on whether the new one would tie into the existing kitchen or whether it would, that would come at a later date. But correct. This is a vote to pursue adding square footage. Yes. So, any other questions or comments? Okay. So all. Yes, that same. So yes. So the way this is going to work, and this is coming from recommendations. Like I'm making this recommendation, but it's off of other outside sources. Like I'm getting guidance elsewhere on this. That committee will stay in place until plans are approved. And at the point that the church approves plans, then you'll get a new committee. Some of the same ones can stay if they want to through the full bit, but you'll get, GAPA and Alex and some of them.
It would be a building oversight.
You'd have a building oversight committee. It wouldn't be a building expansion committee anymore. But you'd probably get some more specialized individuals on that committee. So.
Right now, it's just a consult where they would come in, and if they're interested in talking with us about the project, they'll come in and evaluate what we have currently, talk to us about what our ideas are of what we're looking at, and then they'll come back to us with a basic proposal, and then if we like this one versus that one, then we talk with them further.
But before they can spend any money, they've got to have money on hand to spend, and so they operate the same way any committee would. It'll be coming through the church. Y'all will know about it.
Yes.
Because the church will have to approve the spending of any money moving forward. So.
Right now, my budget's zero.
Yeah.
So I have no spending budget.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of moving forward as has been presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same. All right, it's carried. Thank you, Marion. All right, nominating committee, I've asked Dale to come, and he is going to present a personnel committee recommendation.
Okay, the nominating committee has met, and we would like to recommend Doris Matthews to replace June Grimes on the personnel committee for the remainder of her term.
Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same. Perfect, so that's carried. Ms. Doris, welcome to the team. Try not to fire nobody now that you're on the personnel committee. Okay, the next is, well, Josh, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go and do your part. We're going to have Josh come on behalf of Stewardship Committee to present the budget, to present the budget moving forward. And I'll just tell you, it's the end of the year business meeting, and we do have 2 more items of business that will be voted on tonight. So, Josh, best you can do.
We'll get it. I'll do my best. If nobody asks any questions, that'll make it easy. I think Kyle and some of the other folks will pass out a couple of copies of our proposal for the 2026 year. And I will try to move through this as best I can, but I don't want to shortchange you. But there again, we're not voting on it tonight anyway. So you've got a copy of the proposal, and if between now and that time that we do vote, before the end of the year, you will have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Vicki or to Beverly. We are the 3 members of our stewardship committee. I'm gonna kind of go a little bit backwards as it were with respect to what we are proposing. So if you are looking at what was given to you, and I think you've got the breakdown on the first page there. We'll skip over what I refer to as the income and the missions, and we'll just start at the pastoral ministries and kind of work our way down, and then we'll come back and cover the top portions later. But you'll see, at least on the first page, there's really nothing of any significance in terms of any budgetary changes. You will notice that there's some changes, it looks like, in the pastor's salary category. That's just some reallocation of Kit's salary between his salary and his housing. That's something that he requested we do. But overall, his total compensation remains the same. Minimal changes that we made recommendations to the pastoral reimbursement and pulpit supply, which we'll talk about that in just a second. If you want to flip over to the second page, you'll see a little bit of a change there in the education ministries, just a need for growth there in terms of expenses that we have incurred. When you get into the student ministries, there's 2 items that I want to really kind of focus on there, because you will see, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, in terms of salaries, our compensation for the 10 folks that, if you will, serve in both ministry and support roles here at First Baptist, there was not a recommendation from the deacons as an increase in the overall compensation for our pastor, which is where that comes from, nor from the personnel committee as it relates to an across-the-board increase. Last year, you will recall, if you don't, I'll let you know, that there was an increase in the pastor's salary from 24 to 25, and there was also approved a 4% increase for all other employees that was in effect for this year. Now, to that extent, though, there were 3 categories that we were asked, or that the personnel committee was asked to look at to make some recommendations on, and one of those is in the student minister salary. Now, that is Brandon, so I use that student minister salary loosely in that respect, because as you all will know, when Kit is away, whether it's his other responsibilities with the Army or otherwise, we have in the past, we have relied on pulpit supply. So we have had any number of various speakers come. Subsequent to Brandon's ordination as a minister, and I think that the plan that the deacons have discussed with Kit is that when those needs are become available, I guess, they will be met by Brandon. So what I'm saying is, the personnel committee took that into account, that there will probably be at least one Sunday every month that Brandon will be preaching, and which obviously alleviates that need for the pulpit supply, but also personnel committee felt that it would be appropriate under those circumstances, because he would be taking on additional responsibilities, ministering to us each and every month. There should be some reflection in his compensation. So what that difference of $1,800 works out to be is about $150 a month, which, if you take that, generally is about what we have done in the past for supply pastors when there's been a need there. So that's the increase that you see in that respect. With our Kids Style Coordinator, there was a recommendation that there should be an increase there. If you all will recall, when Leanne was hired last year at the end of, the last quarter of 2024, she was not in that consideration for the 4% raise because she had just started. She was approved at $15 an hour, 10 hours a week for 52 weeks out of the year, which was that $7,800. Well, there was a recommendation because, again, her role has expanded, her responsibility has increased. If you don't believe that, come on a Wednesday night and see those kids that are bouncing off the walls in that building, our room back there. So the recommendation from personnel to the stewardship committee was that her hourly salary rate be increased from $15 to $16.50. So $1.50 raise per hour, which is what's reflective in that $780 in that category. Another item to note there in 510, you'll see what I had categorized as formerly Fall Festival. Well, that 510 has historically been our Fall Festival category. Well, we've moved away from that. And we have moved into a more of an active role on Wednesday nights with that children's choir. So what we as the stewardship committee decided, as opposed to just adding a 511, was to reclassify the 510, formerly as the Fall Festival account, to a children's choir account. And I had met with Lynn Baker, who oversees sort of that project, if you will, and that was a request that was made on behalf of Lynn as it would relate to that children's choir. So the children's choir ministry that we have on Wednesday nights, we would recommend would be funded at $1,000, and that would be for obviously expenses that they may incur for that ministry opportunity, and that's where you see why there's a little bit of a difference there. In the adult and other ministries, you'll see a couple of changes there, and we'll talk about technology and we'll talk about repairs and maintenance specifically. I know we've got the chairman of the technology committee upstairs, and he would be frowning on that because that's not even remotely close to what he and I talked about as far as what their requests may be. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to get done what they want. Let me just go ahead and talk about that right now, because in the repairs and maintenance, i.e. recommendation or request from Buildings and Ground, that's not what they asked for either. But we, as a stewardship committee, determined that in our accounting for our annual budget, is we're focusing on what we would consider more of the recurring expenses, okay? We're not talking about like replacing doors and air conditioners or lighting or major components of our sound system. What we're contemplating in the technology are those type of recurring licenses and things that we can somewhat predict each and every month, rather than blowing this budget up because we think we need brand new $25,000 worth of new lights in here or something to do to replace these microphones. Whatever that may be, those are more of capital improvements. Those are more of things that we would expect, kind of like these doors, to last another 75 years or whatever that might be. So while I'm saying that the budget may not necessarily be reflective of that, that does not necessarily mean that come January or February or March of next year, Mr. Ronnie comes in here and says, hey, we've got to do this, very much similar to what Andy presented as far as the doors or the air conditioner goes. We are very much blessed and in a position to be able to do those type things. But we're not necessarily going to be relying on, now that may come from some of the cash that is on hand, but we're not necessarily saying that, hey, pass the plates 2 or 3 times because we need $35,000 for a new air conditioner, okay? So that will hopefully hold the technology committee at bay for just a few minutes, so Mr. Ronnie doesn't throw anything at me. But that's where we are, because those needs are going to continue to increase. Let's just face it. I mean, you've seen the technological advances that we've made over the last several years for sure. So but there was a bit of an increase there because there are some regular operating needs that they will have that are necessary. If you flip over to the last page, under support ministries, minor changes there you will see. One thing to note, Christmas gifts for our staff. We recommended an increase there. Well, when years past, we've had fewer than we have now. We have 10 folks on the staff right now, and we have elected to increase that for the 2026 year. We actually approved that same amount for 2025, so we're going to be over budget in 2025, but we just felt like that was important for each of our staff members, and to make that fit according to what we wanted to do, that's how we did that. Our technology assistant, you will notice that there's a bit of an increase there as well. And same or similar in following suit, as that role was created during 2025 and Caitlin took on those responsibilities, you all will very much know that her role has expanded drastically from where that original need was. And certainly she has taken on further responsibilities that the Personnel Committee felt were worthy and due considering. So in that respect, when she was brought on, that was $15 an hour, 20 hours a week, 52 weeks out of the year. Well, the recommendation from personnel was that that should increase to $16.50 as well for those 20 hours a week for those 52 weeks out of the year. And so that is the increase you see there. Now, in utilities, you'll see, and as well as repairs and maintenance, those numbers increased a little bit. The utilities tracks, if you look at the last page, more in line with where we are in terms of what we've spent this year. The first 3 pages are the budgeted amounts for each of those years. So 22, 23, 24, and in 25, of course, the proposal for 26. Those are not actual amounts. Those are all budgeted amounts. But if you look at the 4th page in the stack, you will notice I call it something like historical analysis or historical contributions and dividends. Now, if you look at the top of that for 21, 22, 23, 24, those are all actual numbers. Those are the actual contributions that we received each of those years, the actual dividends and interest. We were a little bit hamstrung this year because you all know of the issues that we've had with our accounting software, and we won't go into that because, Kit, we wouldn't be out of here till midnight. But we did have good information through the end of August. Now, I know Kathy's working to try to recreate September, October, and that's why we don't have that to present to you tonight that we would normally have. Okay, well, there you go. So hopefully we'll get those to you just as soon as we possibly can, but that's just something, hey, was out of our control. But the annualized numbers they're in that category for 2025 were based on 8 months ended in August 31st. So I took the 8 months numbers where we were, which is still a good sample for the entire year, divided it by 8, multiplied it by 12, and that's how it fleshed out to what we project to be the overall annualized income, or contributions, if you will, for 2025, as well as on the dividends and interest. Now, I will say this, as y'all all know, historically, December is one of the more, productive months, if you will. That's not probably the right word, but generally speaking, giving increases towards the end of the year. For whatever reason, maybe we're more thankful, maybe we're more generous, maybe we know that the IRS may look favorably upon some of that when you get ready for April 15th of next year to roll around. Regardless, the 297 gives us something to feel pretty comfortable about, and so for the end of the year. But I dare say we're probably going to be in excess. I mean, we've had several months where we have scratched the door of almost $30,000 in contributions per month. We've had several months over $25,000 into 27 to 28. So I feel like once all that gets shakes out, we're probably going to be a little bit closer probably to what we're proposing for 2026. Those certain predictable expenses at the bottom, you'll see those are just food services, utilities, and insurance. Those are actual numbers. And that's those were things, that are big ticket items that we really wanted to look at in proposing those for 2026. So if you flip all that back to the very first page, you will see at the top that proposed contributions for 2026 is $311. I didn't do the math on what that is a month, but you can do that in your head. But it's, listen, it's like the email that I sent to Kit. We're not going to be relying on how well. Let me make sure I word this the right way. It's not the faith I have in myself; it's the faith in the one that provides, and that's kind of where I went with that, because it's going to take faith. Of course, obviously not in what we can do, but what God can do through us. And this church has been very faithful in their giving, no doubt, but also God has been very faithful to us because of the hard work and the efforts that have. And look, as we grow, we expect that those needs are going to increase. I'll tell you this, because I've been doing this for on and off for 20 plus years now, as far as the stewardship goes. And I put a little information there on the end. There was at one time this church was probably 75%, almost 80% of our budget was our payroll, was our salaries and expenses. So you can see now it is almost leveled out to 50-50. So that, to me, says a lot. Number one, it says that this church is growing, that the ministry opportunities are growing, and those needs are growing, but they're also being met. And that's encouraging. When you look at some of the information that Southern Baptist Convention puts out, we are way more well balanced, if you will, in terms of other churches, because let's face it, that's where a lot of churches, that's where the resources go. And I'm not saying that's not an important thing. It's by all means very important. But it is encouraging to know that we are seeing that type of increase. Now, the reason I wanted to kind of back our way into the contributions and dividends, because that missions portion, if you will see, that's right below that, that is our church tithes. That's the way, we are commanded to, as individuals, to meet that requirement, that godly requirement of 10%, and that's what we do in the terms of the mission givings that we have. We break that out between world programs and associations. So that number is going to fluctuate. That number could go up and could go down, given, based on our total, I call it total income. That's just an accounting word. That's not probably the best way to do it. But it's not based on the contributions. It is based on every dollar that comes into this church, whether it be through tithes and offerings or the dividends and interest that comes in. So that 101 and 102, if you add those together, I assure you they are going to add up to $35,900 because they're 10% of what that is. So to that extent, our budget will always fluctuate to some extent as long as we base that on that percentage. But that's how we arrive at that, and it balances right now. So that's where we are, and that is the recommendation that the Stewardship Committee would make for your consideration. Now, again, we won't vote on it tonight, so that information is available to you. Should you have any questions or have any comments or concerns, by all means, please bring them to us, and we will certainly evaluate them and be more than happy to discuss them further. Okay?
Yep, so we won't do any questions or comments on this since it's not a voting matter tonight. Josh is available any time of the day or night. You just get up with him, and he'll answer those. But we will be voting on them the last Sunday morning in December. So the last Sunday of this month, immediately following service, we'll have a special called business meeting for that item, as well as the item of 501c3. I'm not going to try to, I feel like that might wind up being a bigger conversation, and for time's sake tonight, we'll just move that to then. I will go ahead and tell you my piece of the 501c3. I became a pastor 5 years ago. It was probably, 5.5 years ago now. It was probably about a year later whenever I found out that we were not tax exempt, because in my mind, since we were categorized as a nonprofit, we were tax exempt with businesses and things like that. That's not the case. If you do not have a 501c3, the actual number that is there, you're not tax exempt. I did a little bit of digging and pretty quickly found that the churches, I'm like, why wouldn't we be? Why wouldn't we use the funds that the Lord provides to further his kingdom, opposed to, and then I'm like, well, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. You kind of go back and forth on that. But I landed on the fact that, the government has some input in how you operate if you have 501c3 status. That was just kind of how I made it make sense to me, and I moved on past it. Well, since then, I can tell you just rough numbers, big ticket items. In the last 5 years, we have paid in about $50,000 worth of taxes on projects that we've took on, bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, bus purchase. We've had about $50,000, and that got me to thinking again, okay, if the government has a way for us to not have to pay $50,000 in 5 years in taxes, and it'd be more than that. I mean, that was just the big items. That wouldn't count the smaller things. If the government gives us that tax break, I can't use the, hey, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, because Caesar's saying he ain't got to have it. And so what then would be the reason that we wouldn't now pursue a 501c3, especially considering we may be having a building project in the near future, another big ticket item? What I came to find out, and what I'm going to read to you here, is directly from IRS.gov. I've talked to them at both the State Board of Missions. I've talked to local pastors. I've talked to ministry friends and leaders, even the Baptist Foundation. I've reached out to several different folks. Some churches still don't pursue the 501c3, but more than not do pursue a 501c3 and go ahead and get that tax exemption number. I could read this to you. It's right off IRS's page, but the gist of it is that certain, let me read one sentence out of here. Under the Internal Revenue Code of the Section 501c3, organizations are absolutely prohibited from directly or indirectly participating in or intervening in any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for an elected public office. So essentially, to maintain 501c3 status, I cannot say First Baptist Church endorses this candidate or First Baptist Church does not endorse this candidate. We haven't done that in 5.5 years. Matter of fact, First Baptist will not allow campaign signs to be put up like we're kind of operating like we currently have a 501c3. But with that, I also found out that let's say you lose your 501c3. Let's say something comes up and the government says, Kit, you close the doors on First Baptist, we've got a pandemic. Or Kit, fill in the blank, we've got something going on. If I say, nope, it ain't happening, you're not telling us what we're going to do here. We're the Lord's church, we ain't the government's church. Well, you'll lose your 501c3. You don't have to there's no retroactive penalties, financial penalties. You don't have to pay back any tax breaks that you've had up to that point. So even if something came up and you lost your 501c3, you reapply for it in a year. That's kind of the way that goes. So I'm personally making a recommendation for our next special call business meeting that we apply for. It's a very simple application process, but that we apply for a 501c3 and pursue that. We won't discuss that tonight, not even taking a motion or a second, but at the special call business meeting, that is something that I would like us to discuss and potentially vote on at the end of this year. The final order of business is this. The missions line item 104. I wish you had a financial statement in front of you. Currently, we had $5,000 allocated in that. And what we do with that is monthly sponsorships, monthly partnerships like Teach Beyond. With us, the church had voted to support Hannah Hokut through Teach Beyond. A Better Belize, $100 a month, supporting A Better Belize. Well, at this time, moving into next year, we've still got about $900 remaining that did not get used between Belize mission trips and the monthly sponsorships. There's $900 that did not get used. I would like to recommend tonight for a vote that we put that $900, that we split it between two causes. Okay, so my recommendation, and we'll just say I make a motion to approve Kit's recommendation, would be that we would put $450 toward Anchored International, which is Jeremy Talaferro and the ministry in Louisiana with what they're doing in training missionaries. They've got some immediate needs that I would like to put half of it there, and then the other $450 of it would go toward the tuitions, like school tuitions for some of the students in Belize that we've sponsored in the past individually. We haven't sponsored them out of our budget. We've just had love offerings given. But I would like to say that, hey, half of it goes to Anchored International. The other half of it would go to A Better Belize, specifically for the tuition for children, the children's tuition this year. So do I hear a motion besides the one that I just made to do that? Okay, so Kyle has motion and Mr. Ronnie has seconded. Questions? Yes. Okay, thank you. So, Kyle made a motion, Mr. Ronnie seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? The same. All right, so that's carried. Now moving forward, we do need to go ahead and identify. This will be the final order of business for tonight. Do I hear a motion to move forward into next year with $100 a month for the year for Teach Beyond, continuing that support of Hannah Hokut and her ministry? Do I hear? Okay, so Josh has made a motion that we continue that support. Mr. Dell has seconded it. All in favor, say aye. All right, that carries. Do I hear a motion that we continue with our $100 support to A Better Belize and the ministry there in Camalote Camp? Do I hear a motion that we continue that? Andy has made a motion. Do I hear a second? Marion, a second. Okay. Tonight, I would like to, any questions, comments, discussions there? All in favor, say aye. All right, that carries. Any opposed? That carries unanimously. I would like to make a motion tonight that we have Rob and Savannah Driggers, $100 a month, and support them. They are the family that came and shared with us that are preparing to go to Mozambique and will soon be leaving. And so do I hear a motion to sponsor them? Miss Shelley, thank you, has made a motion of, okay. Thank you, Miss Doris has seconded it. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Any opposed, the same. So that one will carry. So sponsoring this, the Driggers, $100 a month. So it's Hannah Hokut, and then A Better Belize. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Shelley, and then Miss Doris seconded it. And then the final thing that I have is, you know, Jeremy Talaferro, they came here and shared over the weekend. I went out there and got to see the ministry firsthand. They've been very active in posting what's going on and things that are happening. And if the church was prepared to sponsor Anchored International $100 a month, then I would love to entertain that motion. We do have it in the budget already for 2026 with that $5,000 maintaining. So we have the funds available to sponsor Anchored International if we hear a motion to do that. Ms. Carolyn has made a motion and Marion has seconded it. Any questions about Anchored International and sponsoring them? Comments? All right, so all in favor of starting a sponsorship with them, $100 a month, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same. All right, well, that is carried, and that will conclude our business meeting for tonight. Thank you so much. I'll pray us, and we'll be dismissed. Lord, we love you. We thank you. God, I'm so grateful that we have a church family that can seek your will together. It can be difficult enough just for us to discern as individuals what you would have us to do, but God, to come together as a body of Christ and say, Lord, this is your church. We are your people. Show us your way. God, I thank you that we can be united on this front, and I know there's further decisions to be made moving throughout the rest of this year and into the next. And God, we look forward to expectation with what you'll accomplish. God, thank you for loving us and blessing us and help us to be faithful in all that you call us to. And it's in Christ.